Mi gente linda. Today, the great revolutionary activist, Assata Shakur, has died. She died while she was in exile in Cuba. And I'm a little sad. I want to unpack a little bit as to why. So for those of you who have never heard of her before, you may know her as Tupac Shakur's aunt. You may know her as you may have heard of her as a part of the Black Panther Party or the Black Liberation Army. But the point is that she was a Black femme radical activist and theorist who basically like rejected all sorts of institutionalized like ideology that associated Black people with whiteness. In other words, she was pro-Black as fuck. And she is famously on the FBI's most wanted list as a terrorist, and has famously been on record as saying that she feels like she's been targeted by FBI's COINTELPRO program. She got asylum in Cuba decades ago, where she's basically been living out her life solita amongst the Cuban people. But that's not why I'm sad. I'm sad because the impact of her words literally resonate today in ways that is like, it's truly a mindfuck. So before I say anything else, there's one thing that I want to give as context. And it's just the fact that like those who were part of the Black Liberation Army, those who were part of the Black Panther Party, they were literally revolutionaries, and that scared white people to death. The Black Panther Party was a Black led organization that basically was founded by Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton, amongst many others, all with the effort of putting forward the Black agenda. What is the Black agenda? Equality. After decades of Jim Crow and systemic inequality and just white violence. It was just a party that was created with the means of self-defense, because no one's ever going to give it to you. You have to seek your liberation yourself. But anyway, this idea of Black nationalism, socialism, and just armed self-defense scared the fuck out of white people. But ask me why it existed. All in an effort to dissuade from police brutality, which has been an issue in this country since the beginning of this country. Never forget that the initial purpose of the police was to catch slaves and bring them back to their owner. It was never about protection or serving. That was the initial function of the police. Property. Now, the reason why that she was in exile in the first place is because she was wrongfully convicted for killing a police officer in New Jersey. She was in jail, she escaped, and Cuba offered her asylum. Now, why did she do that if she was innocent? Whatever. There was no talking during this era, okay? All of her colleagues were killed. Fred P. Hampton, Mark Clark in Chicago, Malcolm X. There are too many examples as to what conversation, what like logical conversation looked like between the police and these radical Black nationalists. AKA, there weren't any conversation. It was either this or death. So I'm happy that she was able to die on her own terms, free, outside of jail, like en el ambiente that que ella quiso. But I'm also sad because it's like the state was literally targeting her like her whole life. And all she ever wanted was Black people to be free. That's all they all ever wanted. And so, I don't know. In today's world, where Trump is horny with all of the power that he has with the Republican Party, her words, they just hit a little harder. I am sitting with these words in particular. Nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. And I'm sitting with that because in today's age, I get asked a lot, like, oh, a lot of what Trump is doing is illogical and all this is not. And people are still trying to fight these new age type of violences with old tactics. I'm not persuaded, speaking as a historian, that they're gonna work per se. Like, we need to pivot in our process. And so, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about as she passes away. May she rest in peace.